Friends, Rampver Financial Friends, this is part 2 of my interview with the man himself, Tony Aquino. I know you have enjoyed the first video and surely you're going to be enjoying this one. So let's get on with it and continue this leadership interview with Tony Aquino. This is something that not a lot of people know, sir. One of the things that I know about Tony Aquino is competitiveness. No, I mean leadership in a sense that's really nice. You know, you're into great governance. You're well liked, but people that just don't understand how competitive you are. When you were the head and CEO of MWC, every year that team dominated the JCA Cup. It's for those people who don't understand, the JCA Cup is a tournament. It's a big sports tournament for all the Ayala Group companies. Obviously, Manila Water was made up of, you know, very strong, able-bodied, athletic people. So they dominated this sport. This, you know, it includes athletics, it includes golf, volleyball, different sports. And MWC dominated. But when Mr. Tony Aquino transferred to Ali, this was something that's really way off the expectations, way off the charts. You set a goal to snatch the JCA Cup from MWC. And you know, this is Ali. Ali, well, sorry to say this, social na company, hindi naman tayo masyadong athletic na MWC. May mga iba-ibang tao doon, di ba? So, how can Ali win this? You know, you set each and every Manco member to take care of a sport. I was in charge of volleyball. I can't even play volleyball, but I have to be a champion in volleyball because I have to deliver to a Tony Aquino. Now, you did that, and after a while, Ayala Land won the JZA Cup. So, ganun ba talaga, sir? I mean, lahat ng mga larangan, you have to like really outperform. I mean, how do you explain this?
Okay, let me explain starting back from the time that you were not even there yet, Rex. In 2000, that was when I attended the first JZA Cup in Rizal Memorial Coliseum. And I was the president of Manila Water already at that time. And we were exactly number 6 at that point in time. We were number 6. And you did not like the feeling that you were the company president and you're not going to go up the podium. You were never a winner. I think we only won 1 bronze or 1 silver in that whole day. Ang init-init pa naman, ano? So, when I came back to the office the next day, I told Ruel Maranan, my HR manager at that time, I said, for the next JCA Cup, I want to be number 1. From number 6 to number 1. So, again, it is not my job to tell him how to do it. Ako na nga yung nag-set ng goal. Ako pa ba yung gagawa at mag-iisip kung paano gagawin? Hindi ba? Trabaho niya yun. Basta ikaw konsulta na lang niya ako kung ano kailangan gawin. And true enough, in 2004, Manila Water was the champion. In the 2008, the next goal I told him was that I don't want just to win the champion. I want to win most of the goals. Yun, 2008. Yun. Nagawa din niya. Most of the goals nakuha niya. 2012, I was already in Ali. But anyway, the formula was as you were describing it. No? Firstly, I said, Bobby, ikaw ang maging dito. Kasi I believe that this was really about leadership development already. No? I had always believed that this was something that would be very beneficial to the organization as well as to the leader, to be able to discover the human dimension. You know, the competitiveness is really part and parcel of everything. If you're not going to be competitive in the sports arena, paano ka magiging competitive in the marketing arena? And that has to be our bread and butter as a company. So, and true enough, so having a good leader was a key element for me with the set goal that had been set. And then, of course, to decentralize again. You will always keep hearing me say the same thing. High goals, decentralize, develop people, and to be able to make sure that they'll be able to deliver the results. That's really how we have managed to put up our ecosystem to make sure that we'll be able to dominate even that particular point. So, such that in recent years, I managed to still get invited to the victory celebrations. And of course, the battle cry now, if we were not bothered by COVID, was dynasty. So iba ibig sabihin ng dynasty. Kasi na yung dynasty, iba na ibig sabihin noon, Rex, di ba? Kanya ngayon, iniiba na nila doon sa Ayala Corp kung anong klaseng sports program ang gagawin. Kasi alam na nilang basta tinuro ni Bobby na itong gusto niya mangyayari yan. So I think it is a very important tool as well. It generates a lot of pride in the organization, makes them very competitive. It enables leaders to be able to interface directly with, sino ba yung mga volleyball player natin dito? Sa boys team, sa girls team, sino ba yan? Sino ba yung coach? It's such a nice dynamic to watch that I think will benefit the leader as well as the team. So to me, sports is always something that's important, even if I was never a sports person, even in school. Pero natipuan ko yan.
Pero I remember, some leaders will always say decentralized, but there is a bit of, something lacking in terms of the follow through. I'll tell you, you decentralize, you gave each Manco member a sport. Pero sir, I remember, you're texting me on a Saturday afternoon, you're asking me, Rex, anong score na? Di ba? So if I'm not gonna be there, if I'm not gonna be in the stadium, I might lose my job. So I have to make sure, even on a Saturday.
But I think that's part of the culture. That's part of the culture that we also wanted. People have to really be out there in the front lines. We all have to be hands-on managers. This is the same way as in marketing. You're not a marketing person unless you've actually sold something yourself. Okay? You got to be, kailangan marunong ka, kailangan nag-succeed ka doon. And you had to be able to say to it that you can lay credit to the fact that I did it myself, and if I could do it, so can you. Okay, so it has to be always making sure that what you preach, you have actually done. So to me, that was probably the benefit that I had managed to get in all my years. That I started from the ground floor and really worked my way through. I was never given a silver spoon. I never managed to get maybe what you were alluding to as I did not have an Ivy League degree. I was a product of local schools, and I happened to have started out, from the ground floor, talagang being exposed to the things that are less than perfect. And I think fortunately because of that, the Philippines, is such an imperfect country. And if you understand the imperfections that we have as a country, you will succeed, because you will know about the ways by which you can go around things and be able to remedy whatever are the infirmities that we might be having.
Okay, sir. I guess together with Bobby and the team, we were blessed. We worked under Tony Aquino. We were nurtured. In fact, I even remember I already was about to leave. I was getting on a CEO job somewhere. You even spent time with me. You erased all the appointments you had in a whole day, and we spent time together. I won't forget that. For someone who's already leaving and somehow a father to me, like sits me down to talk about the CEO job, and you even told me that, Rex, this is not going to be aspired for. It is a position that's given to you. So these are I will always remember your words. So, sir, we are blessed. I mean, those who have worked under you. But now we have an audience here who don't have that kind of privilege and opportunity. So if you can actually give them some advice today, what are the inputs on leadership and management that you can share with everyone who's watching us now? Ano po yung mga sasabihin nyo sa kanila?
Well, I think I started off with maybe the things that I had started off with even when I was still in grade school, okay? And that really had to do with things like yun nga, setting high goals for yourself. No? I think let's always start off with that. As I started working as a CEO in a company, in APMC, I saw the value of decentralization and developing people. because by doing that, they actually were the ones that managed to get the work done for myself. I actually exported that same skill set to Manila Water. And I established a 200 territory managers. So that was the equivalent of the property management function that I started off with in APMC. In Manila Water, it was the territory managers. And again, how do you develop this whole cadre of leaders that will be responsible for a small territory and be able to deliver the complete set of goals that I've set for myself? If you add up all the 200 objectives, that was equivalent to mine. And since they exceeded it, I exceeded mine. When we started going into Ayala Land, again, the same principle, Rex. High goals, sometimes to the point of being impossible, and I like to have that. And then at the same time, full autonomy. But at the same time, making sure that you still have your finger there somewhere. I mean, you don't have to have a fancy executive information system as like what you also don't have. No, you don't need it. Everything has to be a matter of feel. Everything is something that you know this is right, this is wrong, and there are things that we have to adjust. So I think that's really where I probably would say those are the technical elements of leadership for me. But maybe let me now talk about the personal side, and that has to be, I would always say, ang kailangan din adaptable ka. Just like the example I gave, sinabi sa akin sa IBM, hindi ka na pwedeng maging programmer. Kailangan marketing. Tinanggap ko yun, syempre. Hindi ba? Trabaho yan eh. Tiyagain mo. And then you'll find out, you will establish something that you innately have pala naman. No? You can develop towards that. June Bergo was telling me, your edges are too sharp. Let's soften that. And I did. No? And I think for the better. Again, that's I think something that is very, very important. And of course, to me, the important element that I would just like to add would be two other things. You always have to do what comes natural to you. Hindi po pwedeng plastic ka, ito, ayaw mo talagang gawin ito, you have talagang vision. Hindi, this is not for me. This is not for me. Hindi pwede yon. Because at the end, you have to be happy with whatever you're doing. And then, you also have, the second part of it, is that you also have to have another angle behind it. You've got to look for maybe what I call as the social element behind everything that you're doing. I was so happy that in the case of Manila Water, Fernando was so supportive at that point that it is not just the business results you're after, it was even the social good that we managed to give water to millions of poor Filipinos. And we managed to put that into our business model and made it work. Even if we were to probably talk in terms of our stint in Ayala Land, we know that when we started saying, oh, it's not a matter of just buying rights to be able to provide housing for poor communities, we will establish an Amaya and Bella Vita so that we will do it ourselves, so that we could really be face-to-face with what the ordinary Filipino has. You know, the public sector employee, that will be able to provide them housing, will be able to give them a nice, organized housing development. We will be in all parts of the country, will be in tourism, etc., etc. So I think that is not really just the business side of it. That is really the best way by which you could really talk about all of these fancy things called inclusive growth, because you're spreading the growth and development all over the country, and you're now making sure that all of your products are going to be able to serve the greater number of Filipinos, and even the small formats of the district malls was something that I also like to have. You know, so all of those things are also so nice to be able to put in place. And again, I'm always so fortunate when I see that the people that you have developed and trained will always exceed your expectations. I had known that when I first met Bobby, I remember in 2009, I knew that he was the one that would be able to help in terms of carrying things forward after me. So that was why the developmental effort was also focused on him. That's why I made him the team captain of the sports team. that was part of the training and development program, because if you can lead that and deliver this, you can deliver anything. So to me, that was also a nice thing, and he has not failed. And obviously, in this current pandemic that requires a different kind of leadership, I could probably say he's definitely far better than me insofar as leading the company in the midst of this very critical problem that we're facing today with this COVID crisis. So to me, those are the things that we should always be having: high goals, develop people, decentralize and empower, and then at the same time, just make sure that pagkatotoo ka, hindi ka plastic, kailangan natural, no? There is no such thing as anong tatawagin mo dyan, nothing sophisticated in this life. I always keep saying, everything we did in order to triple the business in Ayala Land, we learned in kindergarten. We did not learn that in business school or anything like that. Because ano ba ginawa natin doon? Spread out all over the country, come out with different product lines, you decentralize, you empower. Everything there, we learned in kindergarten. That is why it was also so easy to be able to drill it down to the rest of the company. Kasi kung mahirap yan, you will spend all your time explaining. Kung these are kindergarten concepts, alam na ng buong bayan yan. And therefore, they can easily adapt to whatever you're also putting on the table. So it's all very simple to me. I'd always like to take things at that level, be able to make sure that you're able to communicate to the ground troops that these are the marching orders.
Thank you, sir. I think the humble guy in you will not say these things, so I'll add them. No, number one, you always give credit to the team. No, I haven't really seen you in my whole stint in Ayala Land to take credit for yourself. I even remember that story. I don't know if you even remember this. That our own chairman, Fernando, asked you, Tony, with all of these targets and all of this growth, are you still able to sleep at night? You know how you answered that? I don't know if you remember, but you answered that by saying, no, I sleep well at night. These are the guys, and then you pointed at all of us, these are the guys who cannot sleep. So, I mean, the whole board laughed at that.
But alam mo, I think dapat lang everybody just has to be convinced about the importance of what they're doing. Again, and I would always like to keep focusing on that. Sometimes we lose it, not just on the business side, but also on how do you develop your team, how do you develop your people, how do you make sure that your customers appreciate what you're doing. I mean, I personally take pride when I walk around the Greenbelt Park and I see yung mga balikbayans taking a selfie in the Greenbelt Park. So it tells you, they like the product we have. O kaya, nandoon sa High Street, di ba? O kaya nandoon sa circular staircase of one of our malls. It means there was something nice about what we have done that enabled, and we have to get our kicks out of that as well. Not just the kicks that you get out of your net income side, but the fact that you made people happier. Maybe the things that we've done in the Ayala Triangle Gardens every Christmas time. So, ano yan dapat mababaw din ang kaligayahan natin to be but it takes a lot for us, Rex, to look for that angle. It is not enough that we are just focused on one thing. We also have to look at the social thing, the social objective that we also want to have. Because at the end of the day, that is what will make us happier. At the end of the day, yun ang mas matatandaan natin. Ay, nakagawa tayo ng ganoong klaseng produkto, na itong integrated mix. O ngayon, nagawa natin yung New Valley is the center of gravity of Laguna. Ng araw, nandiyan lang siya sa side street ng Tagaytay Santa Rosa Road. Those are the things that we should get our kicks out of that.
I guess that's a metric that's very important to you. How we are able to impact the lives of other people. That's very important. Pero sir, going back to that statement at the board, alam nyo sa akin, two meanings yun. Nakakatawa. I mean, that's the humor of Tony Aquino saying that I can sleep well. They are the guys who cannot sleep well. But that for me, you in that joke, that very light statement, you actually gave credit to the team. You're actually telling the chairman that ito yung mga gumagawa ng trabaho talaga. And I'm really proud of my team.
You know that Bobby has obviously even overdone outdone that because right now he gets everybody to be the one to make the presentation, etc., etc. So I think that's a great initiative to be able to enhance. So there's nothing like that, I think, because at the end, if the people themselves are the ones that are saying this project's viability is like this and that, you can be 100% sure they will deliver the results because they said it. So
they're the ones who made the board approve it.
Oo wala ka ng problema dyan. So to me, it helps insofar as that side is concerned. And then you could really see how our team has developed. And maybe the other one that I think we're all very proud about, Rex, is that the Ayala Land senior leadership team, I think everybody there was exactly what you and I saw when we were there in 2009 and even before that. We did not have to get somebody from parachuted into us. It was exactly the same team, and this fighting team is the one that is delivering the results, and the results that are unmatched relative to the CAGR or the projections that they're able to do year after year after year.
And I know I really tip my hat to Bobby as well. In that video that we had about him and the way he's leading, can you imagine having a plan for COVID right on the very first day of the pandemic? First day of the pandemic, first quarantine period day. Rolling out a plan already.
Mahirap yan. Mahirap yung ginagawa niya ngayon. Kasi, this is something that's obviously not in the books, not in MBA, not in the doctorate. Wala ito. This is something that just descended up. It's a black swan So hindi mo alam kung anong, you don't even know what hit you, no? So obviously, to be able to think first about customers, employees, that really proves, ano yung personal value system din no? So the personal value system extremely important. Yung maybe that's why when you select new leaders, yung personal values ang mahalaga Kailangan makita mo na compatible yon with yours as well as the corporate value system. And we're so fortunate that that's probably one advantage about the developing from within, because automatically meron yan pihado. We were familiar with organizations where you don't have that, and that's why there's a problem. Pero pagka yung from developing from within, it's a lot easier.
I guess, sir, I have to ask this, because somehow bosses who extract the highest level of growth, bosses who actually give biggest goals, the BHAGs that you said, normally are not likable people. They are the ones na kung humagupit talagang parang 'di ba, the masters of parang minsan nga people feel they're slaves of their jobs, But that's the parang disjoint, maybe the thing that we have to make compatible today. I have to ask you that question. Why is Tony Aquino a driver of big goals, but he's also a very likable person? I translate this, sir. Minsan, naglalakad tayong dalawa. You were mentoring me on sales and marketing. Ang sabi mo, sales and marketing leadership by Alaska. In our Manco meetings, Alaskahin mo ko, patatawanin mo ko. After a while, pagbalik ko sa office, I think to myself, napa-oo pala ako ni Mr. Aquino dun sa mga target na yon na, it seems impossible, pero napa-oo niya ako while I'm laughing. Because, joke mo ko and then I agree to it. Now I'm bound by them. So, boss, ang mga tao mo hindi takot sa iyo Ang mga tao mo mahal ka Pero paano mo na gagawang congruent yon? Driving big goals, but being likable and well-respected by everyone.
Well, I think let's always think about it in terms of the fact that you also want to make sure that your people are going to be happy and healthy. Ayaw mo naman na pagka pinagalitan mo ng gusto, then they will become unhealthy. That's the worst thing that can happen. And maybe the other part of it is really that you're also making it unhealthy for yourself. Kung palaging mataas ang blood pressure mo because palagi ka na lang nagda-drumbeat ng ganyan. Again, it is always a case of how do you try to come around and deliver that message in a nicer way. And again, fortunately, I managed to have some mentors like that, like the great Aris Estrada, the late Aris Estrada, who was like that, who would really go through all the pains. Probably not in a humorous way. I probably plugged in my humorous way from my June Verba days. But maybe si Aris kasi, ang style niya is talagang, he will also spend time with you to make sure that you're going to be able to buy into it, even to the point that he would say it's his fault. When in reality, later on at the end of the discussion would say, oh nga, sinabi pa niya siya ang may kasalanan, pero yung totoo, ako may kasalanan eh. Diba? So, down to that level. So, I think it just tells you that you just have to be able to empathize and take the point of view of the other one so that you will manage to get to the end goal that you have set for yourself. I think that's to be the key element. And I always want to have a relatively happy environment. And that's why maybe that level of humor always has to be injected into it. And that's why maybe the level of sports competitiveness has to be part of it so that you will have other handles. It is not just the work handle that you're dealing with. It has to be everything. There has to be a whole menu of options that should be before you so that you could precisely be focused on that ultimate goal that you have set for yourself. So to me, it's something that is personal. You also don't want it to be a case where ikaw yung sasamayan ng loob. It's not good to have unhealthy people. It's always nice to have people who will just be cooperating and helping each other. And I think the synergy that we have built up is a testament to that. That when we said, we just have to say, oh sige, hindi, gusto ko magtutulungan tayo between malls and residential. Dapat tulong-tulong yan. Hindi po pwedeng by yourself that you're independent silos.
I guess, sir, malaking bagay din. You know, you never asked for big goals without providing the tools to make them happen. No? I guess hindi mo naman pinagkait sa mga tao mo yung resources. Eh. That's very important to me also. But speaking of Aris Estrada, no, do you have other mentors? I mean, other mentors who have impacted the leadership journey of Mr. Tony Aquino? Sino pa ho mga mentor na maniname niyo?
Well, I started off with, I was saying, even my mother, because she was the first one to teach me real estate development in my early years. Project management, ganito pala yan, construction management, even in a small subset, nagawa ko yan. Ano? So I think that certainly helped a lot. I think I was telling you about even June Verba, on how he was always telling me, you always come out too stiff, try to soften that up a bit. I think that was another great opportunity for me to be able to learn. I think let's also Fernando was the one that actually encouraged me to even go for these other big goals about water for poor communities. I mean, you would probably think he would always not be completely aligned with that, but he was completely aligned with that particular objective. When we also went in Ayala Land to go about those things like going into the base of the pyramid like Amaya and Bella Vita, I mean, fortunately, Jaime and Fernando were also very supportive that it was a case that we should be able to do these things because it's going to be able to improve the lives of people who we were not touching in the past. So I think to me, it is those things. You might always have something like that deep in your heart, but you also need other people to support you to be able to make sure that it will get done. And I think that's the value of working with Ayala, that you do have some leeway. It is something that you are personally empowered and trusted to do what you feel is the correct thing to do, so long as it fits within the overall value system that we have as an organization.
I think, sir, the Ayala mystic is real. I think the kind of bosses that are there, the kind of leaders that we look up to. I mean, there was a time when I even asked Bobby. We were in that board meeting. We didn't really look at the financial so much. We're looking at safety. We're looking at the community. How are we going to engage the displaced people? We talk about a lot of those things that people probably might not even talk about in a lot of board meetings. But I guess we take more time for those things that impact Filipino lives. I think that's the thing. Let me go to my last question, sir. Ito naman, last na, no? How is Tony Aquino as a family man, as a husband, as a father? Yan bang leadership journey na yan reflected also in a family, a family life?
Okay, well, Remember, I told you that one of my biggest accomplishments in MBA was that that's where I met my wife. And to me, when we were married during the time I was in IBM, uh, one of the things that shocked me was the point that when she said she would like to resign from her job at that time with San Miguel, no? And to focus on our family. No? So to me, that was a bit of a shock because at that point in time, knowing me, everything was already computed. This is how much I will have to have for our food, for my amortization of the house that I had built, etc., etc. And when you take that out, the next element, when you take her salary out, the next thing that would happen is that, anong pambabayad namin doon sa pamalengke? Mauubusan. But I think at the end of the day, that was one of the biggest things that has happened. Because when you take out all of those elements about worrying about what's happening in your household, worrying about who's taking care of the children while you're there in the office, and while sometimes occasionally you have to stay long in the office, that particular worry was completely taken out because you were so confident that my wife was able to accomplish all of those things for me. So to me, that is also one of the things that, one of the secrets, it gave you a lot of peace of mind regarding what you needed to do to be able to be focused relative to the job itself. I think I also would say that the other part of it is that I did aspire to have some level of financial independence early enough in life. I also had targets, Rex. I also had targets that this is how much I'm going to save. This is how much that saving will earn. And as a consequence, when you put up a fairly nice pile on investments that you have, and you have done it early enough, and as you know, if you do investments early enough, you know, it's hard to make mistakes later on in life, because all of those things that you've done early in life are going to take care of the rest of what you have done and you're doing now. So again, when you have financial independence, I think it also makes you feel that your decisions you can make objectively. You're not going to be dependent on, hey, will the boss like me or not like me for what I'm doing? Because at the end of the day, you're making the decision because it's the right one, and you have that assurance to yourself that I'm financially independent already anyway. Diba? So that again removes another element that could that could shackle you in whatever you're doing. It makes your decisions a lot better. It's not going to be self-serving. You're not going to do it because you want other people to think this way about you. So I think those are the things that did help. I think right now you obviously have to be focused on health, and that's why even with this pandemic, I always make sure I will be doing my 1.5 hour, 2 hour walk outside. I would always continue to have my 10,000 steps. You know that, okay, during the sports events, I could always keep running around as much as I can. So that's again, keeping yourself healthy is I think a very important element today. You still just have to be a little bit engaged. Ito, kamukha nito, pinagtrabaho ko ni Rex Mendoza ngayon. Inisip ko mabuti kung ano yung mga sinasabi ko nung araw, to make sure that I'm also going to be consistent. And now, I'm learning from my grandchildren. Kasi itong I have 2 grandchildren in the States, and you know what kind of grandchildren they will be. If they were born in the States and they're behaving like Americans, wow, it's a different. And then I have another grandson here. You learn again from them. We were not like that. And then again, you think in terms of how are you going to be able to, or how will their parents be able to manage them? What is the next secret that we have to do? It was so much simpler for us. Noong araw, Rex, isang tingin pa lang sa atin, tiklop ka na. Wala, susunod ka na.
The word of the father is law.
Hindi kailangan humawak ng tsinelas eh. Basta isang tingin ka lang, you know that you have to behave already, no? So ganun tayo noon. But obviously ngayon, you know, you have to go through the whole gamut of bribe, threaten, spunk, you know, the whole set of techniques is what you have to do. It's different, but again, something that you have to learn from. I think today as well, the pandemic has obviously upset everything that we're doing on the economic side, di ba? All of a sudden, you wake up one morning in March when 1/3 of your assets are gone. Diba? Yung pala, mabuti naman, you now find out, the 1/3 that you lost is the 1/3 you did not need. And you can still survive it. So it brings you to pour that one. And of course, you're now spending some time adjusting investments, so you plug in a little bit more of fixed income from what you used to have. Most of your eggs were in 1 or 2 baskets. No? So that type of adjustments you now have to make. But I think obviously now you've spent all your time with your family with the pandemic that is before us. But still, a lot of opportunity to learn. That as you see it, and you could also understand what are the things that make people behave this way, and how can you influence it. A little bit difficult. This is not an easy country to run, but you just have to have a very good understanding of what's happening around you.
Sir, in terms of parting words na lang po, a little bit of a message out there for our audience. Like, what do you get to wish them? Lalo na ngayon, we're into the season. I hope you can give us like a parting shot, so to speak.
Yeah, I think to me, I have nothing but the best wishes for everybody, notwithstanding all of the difficulties we have. As a matter of fact, out of the same difficulties that we're experiencing, you're going to be able to draw out a lot of positive thoughts. And I think let's be focused on those positive thoughts that we can still draw out. And in particular, this would be, how can we help others? We are still so fortunate, and admittedly, as we said, we lost 1/3 along the way, but that 1/3 is what we did not need. And we just have to look around for some other opportunities, because there are just so many of our fellow Filipinos out there that unfortunately are not as lucky as we are. So I think that's what we should all try to do this particular Christmas season. But I think it's so far as our own professional lives, I'd always like to be focused on making sure that we're always true to ourselves. Pagkatotoo tayo, palaging just be natural in the way we're doing things. Let us also not force ourselves along a certain path kung hindi yun ang para sa atin. No? But I think in every situation, I am sure there are ways by which you can grab that situation and turn it for the better. I think I'd like to characterize my whole leadership journey as just that. Nagkaroon lang ako ng kaunting swerte kasi nagkaroon ng konting pagkakataon. Pero kung yung pagkakataon na yon hindi mo pinansin masyado, you would unfortunately miss the boat. But if you manage to grab it by the horns, tiyagain mo lang, then you will be able to get something out of it. And it is going to be for the better for yourself, for your organization, and for the country.
Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony Aquino, sir. Talagang, I think you have blessed a lot of people by being with us. Alam ko, masabi ko na lang sa iba, no, yung oras ni Mr. Tony Aquino, per minute yan. Per minute yan.
Ngayon mas mura na. Mas mura na ngayon kasi with all the minutes, Rex.
So, thank you so much. I hope that everyone was blessed with this, and we're surely going to be wishing everyone all the very best, especially this holiday season. Again, it's actually focusing ourselves on doing the right things, as mentioned by Mr. Tony Aquino, making sure that we get to impact the lives of others, make a difference to them, and make this country and make the world a better place for everyone. Again, thank you so much, sir. Again, quite an honor and a privilege. You cannot just imagine the kind of gratefulness I feel deep in my heart. Really fantastic session. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din, Rex, and to all of the listeners as well. Thank you.
That, Rampver Financial's friends, was such a treat. If, as I've said, you want me to invite and record conversations of my other mentors, please let me know in the comment section. In the comment section of this video, let me know, and I will continue these conversations with great people that has touched my life and people that I also want to touch yours. For those of you who haven't subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. Hit the like button. That's going to help us a lot. And I will be seeing you in the next videos where we at Rampver Financials would try to make a difference in all of you. Till then,